This is Live from the Table, the official podcast of the world-famous Comedy Cellar, available wherever you get your podcasts, and available in particular on YouTube, which I think is the preferred way that people consume the podcast. This is Dan Naturman. Noam is not here. Noam is in Italy, or he's on his way back from Italy. I'm here with Periel. We're just doing a two-person show today, so it's something a little bit different. We've done this before, but it's not what we normally do. And we have some topics that we're going to explore. Once again, I find myself with a cruise coming up, Periel. I got a cruise.
Where are you going? I hope not to Jamaica or Cuba.
Is that where the hurricanes are?
Yes.
No, I don't know where we're going, actually. I don't really care because I don't really usually get off the ship. But we're going to the Caribbean.
Okay.
So maybe it'll get canceled and they'll pay me. That would be the best possible outcome.
Is that what would happen if they cancel, they pay you?
I think so. That's never happened before, so I don't know.
That
would be a wonderful surprise.
Is that like your best case scenario?
Oh, it's best case scenario. Yeah, it's best case scenario.
For everything? Like for any...
Yeah, generally. For most gigs, yes. I would just prefer... Gilbert Gottfried once remarked that that was his fantasy before every gig. Is that the owner would say, there's a fire, here's your check. And I'm sort of in accord with that. Other than the Comedy Cellar, and gigs around town.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't love stand up. I as I've mentioned before, but here I am.
Well, I'd say that you must derive a little bit of pleasure.
I like the part where you say, thank you, everybody. And then you've done a good job, ideally, and then you get to kind of bask in that afterglow.
But do you get
that's what I prefer.
But is there some point during the set where you're like, this is going well, you're enjoying, your people are laughing, you can tell that
if a new joke does well, then that's satisfying. If a joke that does well always does well, and it's the thousandth time that it's done well, it's hard to derive any pleasure out of that. Because I already know the joke works.
And what about...
So it's when a new joke works, that can be a pleasurable experience.
And how often do you try new jokes?
As often as I can. I mean, I come up with a new joke, and it's got to cross a certain threshold of probably funny.
Okay.
In other words, there are jokes that I'm like, no, that's never going to work, and I won't try it. There's jokes. They have to cross a certain threshold, that 50% chance, whatever it is.
Well, what's that threshold? Do you make
whatever
that up
the
in your
threshold
head?
is? I think it might work.
But you yourself, it's not like you're running.
It's got to cross. It's got to have two criteria. It's got to be a joke that I think will work, and it's got to be a joke that I think is worthy of my telling.
Mm-hmm.
It can't just be something easy or that I think will work because. Some jokes just work because, I don't know, you say a funny word. It never ceases to amaze me how easy it is to make an audience laugh when all you're doing is simply saying the truth and nothing more. It's unadorned. And though that could be good enough, and you might say that is good enough, I always need to try to come up with something clever to cap it off. Like the example that I give and I've mentioned on the show is my joke about when Trump was running in 2016 and everybody was saying, if Trump gets elected, I'm going to move to Canada. And then Trump got elected and they're like, I ain't moving to Canada. And it gets big laughs. And there's no joke there. It's just what happened.
But you tell it.
But I guess I do it in a funny way or whatever. But I feel the need to go one step further and say, a lot of Americans are trying to get their green cards, but I don't know any a lot of Canadians are trying to get their green cards, but I don't know any Americans trying to get their Maple Pass or whatever they call it. Because I feel the need to not just rest on the I ain't fucking moving to Canada part.
You also have a joke that you don't tell that we've had this conversation before
about the meditation.
Yeah. It's the same
thing. I
thing.
tell it, but I'll tell it on a cruise ship. That's a little bit different because you have to bring something to it, but it's still very basic. It's still not a joke that
you're not proud of.
I'm not proud of it. And that's where I talk about how, you have meditation apps and they'll have a voice from, England. Well, open your, with an English accent, or they'll have an Indian voice. So imagine, you're in the field with it. But, you wouldn't hear a New Yorker like, hey, close your freaking eyes. it's easy. I've heard different variations of that joke over the years where the New York accent is inappropriate for this context or that. Like you wouldn't want to hear your doctor saying, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just I've heard that in so many contexts. So no, so
It's not unique enough.
So though it's not unique enough. So though it passes this threshold of the audience will laugh,
Yeah.
it doesn't pass that second criteria. But anyway, speaking of jokes,
Wait. So will you run them by people?
jokes? No,
It's
I run it by the audience.
That's it. It's
That's
an
it.
internal
Yeah,
like you never call.
No, because what's the point? Because they'll give me their opinion as one person's opinion.
Mm-hmm.
They might not like it, and then that'll just psych me out, and I won't do it. Or they might like it, but which is, I guess, good, but that doesn't mean the audience is going to like it. Or they might pretend to like it. I don't know. I can't trust people because if they're your friend, they don't want to say, eh.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
So,
you have friends who are
I
like.
mean, if they laugh, but is it a real laugh?
Wait a second, but you have friends who are like really good
But
comics.
I wouldn't. But yes, but when you ask somebody, "Is this funny?" Like I personally would never say that's not funny because I really don't know.
Okay,
I don't know what the audience is going to laugh at. So it's for me to say, I don't know. Even if it's a friend that wants an honest opinion, my honest opinion is I don't fucking know.
Uh-huh.
I do not know.
It's
You have to try it out
try.
in front of the audience.
Mm-hmm.
There's another joke I'm telling recently that sometimes gets a big laugh. It's also just a thought. It's a thought that a million people have probably had, where Elon Musk is obsessed with Mars.
Okay.
So he's always saying we got to go to Mars. We need to become multi-planetary. We have to colonize Mars because Earth might become uninhabitable. And I say, you mean uninhabitable like Mars? and that's all I say. And people laugh.
Uh-huh.
And it seems like a fairly easy thought.
Uh-huh.
Like Mars is already uninhabitable. What kind of plan B is that? So that's not enough. So I try to add to it by saying that. But I've added to it. I'm not getting a huge laugh with it, but I say that's the worst plan B since that time. I said to myself, if comedy doesn't work out, I'll just be a fitness model. Or sometimes I say I'll just strip.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, you're not laughing. But the audience typically does. But they don't laugh uproariously. But the point is I feel the need to not just say something that's true if there's no actual joke or punchline or anything else. But anyway, I don't know how we got on this topic.
Well, it's interesting. We got on this topic because I was asking you questions.
You were asking me about trying out new jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right.
Did you try any new jokes out the other night?
The other night, I think I did the joke about, it's fairly new. Like I've been working on it for a while, trying to get it right, where like parents on social media will tell, "Oh, I'm so proud of this amazing,
Oh yeah, that was
amazing,
really funny.
intelligent, brilliant human who amazes us every day with his, and then in person you're like, well, how's your kid? Oh, well, fingers crossed the new medication is working.
That's funny.
So that's yeah. I haven't done it enough times to say that for sure it's a keeper.
Uh-huh.
It's worked twice. Usually I need 3 or 4 times for me to be confident that it's something that's gonna and then once I'm confident, then it usually starts to work even better.
That's
Because it takes me like 3 or 4 times
to get
to
confident.
get confident. And once the confidence arises, then it usually adds another level to it.
And
There's some jokes that work for some audiences and don't work for other audiences.
well, that's certainly true. I mean,
Jokes that work that don't work at the cellar but seem to work at other places.
well, it's some things that like you have. It's very cultural, right? Like jokes.
Not just that it's cultural; it's just certain jokes. I don't know what it is about certain rooms, certain clubs.
Well, I mean,
whatever.
something like you'd have to be like intimately acquainted with like the New York subway system. That's like a joke you can't tell in like Iowa, right?
What joke are you talking about?
Just in general, like
Yes, but my jokes typically aren't that.
Yeah.
I have jokes that everybody can understand, but for some reason don't work as well here and work elsewhere, or they don't work as well elsewhere and they work here, and I can't figure it out. But anyway, yeah. So.
Do you think that your jokes would have worked at the Riyadh Comedy Festival?
I probably many of them would.
Uh-huh.
Not my jokes about Israel, because they tend not to be bashing Israel, which is probably what they would want. But I don't have many jokes about Israel. But you know, my jokes tend to work overseas, so I would imagine they would work there. But I guess that brings us to the
I was
Riyadh
trying
Comedy
to.
Festival.
I know. Like
and,
a smooth transition.
Yeah, it was a smooth transition. I made it a little rougher than it needed to be, but yeah, I mean, as far as the controversy is concerned, I'd have done it.
You would have done it.
But I need the money, so it's different from people that already make millions of dollars a year to make a few more million or hundreds of thousands. So I'm in a situation where nobody would, I don't think be upset with me if I did it, but people that already are rich or already make millions a year. And so did they need to do, I don't know. I prefer not to judge people, I mean, people work in China and China has human rights violations.
People work all over the place.
So, then there was two issues. One issue was, well, should you work? It was sponsored by the Saudi government. So the issue was, should you work for a government that's repressive?
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to do a show for the people if the people are paying for it. It's another show when the government is paying you and the government is a repressive regime. And the second argument is that, well, the government, apparently, there was a contract you had to sign that said you're not going to talk about this, you're not going to talk about that, you're not going to make fun of the Saudi government, you're not going to talk about religion, whatever, that they had to sign that. So a separate accusation is, well, you guys are such free speech advocates, and yet you signed a contract saying you're not allowed to say this, 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 and this.
Okay.
So is that hypocritical? So I mean, I don't know. Well, there's two questions: would I have done it, and would I have done it knowing the backlash? Well, the second question is easy. Absolutely not. I mean, if I were in their position, people with a lot of money already, being offered a lot of money, would I have done it? Would I have done it knowing the backlash? Of course not. And I suspect that's true for a lot of people that did it. Really? I don't think they expected the backlash. I think if they knew the backlash, many of the people that did it would not have done it.
Well, I mean,
I don't
that's
think
sort of cowardly, isn't it?
Well, it's logic. Why would you want backlash?
Well, I mean,
avoid backlash.
I don't think that anybody. I don't think that for the most part, when you get when there's quote unquote backlash or consequences, you're not upset that you did it. You're just upset that you got in trouble for doing it.
The point is if they knew that there was going to be a backlash, would they have done it? And I think for a lot of people, the answer is no.
I don't know. I think that
I don't think they anticipated the backlash.
I think that
they figured it's just a gig and we'll do it and nobody will complain.
I don't know. I think that, there are, I mean, I hate to bring everything back to Israel and anti-Semitism, but, there are so many people in the arts who are, calling to boycott Israel because of this or that. And half of these people would in 1 second go perform for a regime in Saudi Arabia or any place else.
I suppose, but that's not what we're discussing.
Well, no, but it's part of it. I think it's just bullshit. The people who are complaining about the people who went to Saudi, right? What are they complaining about?
I told you they're complaining about two things. Number one, how can you be for freedom of speech when you had to sign a contract?
Okay, but you do that all the time.
You can't say this, that, and the other thing. Well,
but you do that when you take corporate gigs too.
But a lot of these people don't do corporate gigs. I mean, I don't think Chappelle's doing corporate gigs. I don't think Bill Burr is doing corporate gigs. So they're doing gigs where they can say whatever the hell they want.
Okay. When you go,
I assume. I haven't read their contract.
When you go on a nightly talk show, or at least what the formats are, and you're going to do 5 minutes on Fallon.
But you're not doing. Yeah, I mean, those guys aren't doing stand up on talk shows either. But okay. Yes, they're restricted in what they can say. So I see your point. But by and large, these people do shows where they can say whatever the hell they want.
When they're doing their own show and they're the one who.
And they don't do corporates typically.
Okay, at that level, maybe not. But like, even if you go do a show for like Jennifer Lopez, right? Like, there are certain things that she's probably going to ask you not to make fun of.
You mean her talk show? Does she have a talk show?
No, I just meant like if you did like a private gig for her. Like, I don't know. I think that there's usually maybe this is an extreme
I
version
guess,
of it.
but it's one thing not to be able to say the F word. It's another thing to say you can't make fun of religion. You can't make fun of a government which is clearly repressive. If your brand is,
Yeah, I understand.
That's the argument.
Well, what do you think about that?
I don't. Look, it's a money grab, but I mean, I don't.
If you were offered,
I'm not overly hostile to money grabs, even if you've already have money. I hesitate to judge again because
I think it's distasteful.
People do. Well, first of all, I obviously, because I'm not in a position to do an arena, but I do corporates. I do cruises, and there are several restrictions. I can't, not just restrictions about what I can say, but about what I can do.
Okay.
I can't have sex with the other passengers.
Well, see, there you go. But there's also restrictions on what you can say, right?
There's one cruise line that says you cannot talk to anybody under 18 that's unaccompanied by an adult. So if like a little kid in the elevator says, "Hey, you were funny," theoretically, I'm not allowed to say thank you, according to the contract.
But there's also a bunch of stuff that you can't say.
Yes, there's a bunch of stuff I can't say. I can't say princess. I can't say. I can't make fun of Carnival cruises, for example.
So what's the
But
difference?
I'm not the free speech guy, and I'm not going to Saudi Arabia.
I suppose Carnival Cruises doesn't also like kill women for.
Well, I don't know what they do. I mean, there was a woman that went missing on one of the ships.
You probably can't make a joke about that.
That was on Netflix. There was a show like, I doubt you can make fun of that.
Like if you did that, probably they wouldn't hire you again.
Right, but I'm not Mr. Free Speech.
Well, I mean, I think comics in general.
I'm not. So
let me ask you this: if you were offered $25 million and you knew the backlash, you wouldn't take it?
Of course I would. I told you right up front I would take it.
You said if you knew the backlash, you wouldn't.
I said if I knew the backlash and I were in a position to not, if I was making millions a year anyway, I said I wouldn't do it.
How?
But in the position I'm in now, I want that 25 meg.
Do you think that it's distasteful to count other people's money?
I don't know, not necessarily.
Like,
I mean, depending on the context.
I don't know.
Depending on the context. If it would look, there's a certain threshold which I would be upset. I mean, if it were really like if they were performing for Osama bin Laden had a show, back when he was around. And he was offering huge sums of money. Well, then I would say, for anybody, even somebody that needed the money. But at a certain level, yes, I would say that's distasteful.
Okay.
But Saudi Arabia,
I'm
not outraged by it.
Why? They're horrible. Like what the government does over there, it's like the worst thing ever.
But we're also allies with Saudi Arabia. People go to Saudi Arabia. I have a friend of my brother-in-law's. Now, his father went. He was a dentist, and he went there to do a dental lecture in Saudi. The government probably had some say in that. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think anything of it. I mean, there's also the argument to be made that, well, if we want to bring them into the 21st century, like Jessica Kirson went and talked about being gay.
I think it's very brave.
So you could say, well, she made a lot of, the government's repressive, but she went there and maybe she was a factor for change. Maybe she was an agent for change over there.
Yeah.
I don't know. You could make that argument. And if I were her, I'd make that argument whether I believed it or not, because she got a lot of backlash.
Well, I think that people
she gave in, and I don't think she should have. She should have said, "Look, I went there. I talked about being gay. I think I was a catalyst for change." And
I agree. I think that what she did was very brave, and I think that people really like to judge and say you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that, and that's separate.
Well, you were saying that Saudi Arabia is horrible, so now where do you stand on comics going to perform for Saudi Arabia?
I think that it's none of my business, and people should do what they want to do.
No, because it's the thing. There are things that are your business. If at a certain point, it would be your business.
Listen,
so it's not that it's not your business; it's that you're not outraged by it.
I'm saying where is the line? I think I'm saying it's more complicated than just to be like, this is a terrible regime, which it is, and they do horrible things, which they do, to then say, well, it's a crime that any of you guys went to perform there. Like, I think it's really easy to sit there and say that. And I also think, like, just because you have money doesn't mean that you're not allowed to take more money. And I also think that, like,
if you're doing something, no, it doesn't mean that. But if it's something that's truly questionable, it's a fact.
there are a lot of things that are questionable.
And at some point, it's questionable enough that I would say, hey, that's not right.
Okay.
Now, so the question is, where is that point?
Right.
It's not like I would never judge, and it's never my business. Like I said, if they did a show at Osama bin Laden's palace, you and I wouldn't say it's none of our business. We'd say no, that's not right.
Right.
So it's not that we,
So, like, doing a show for
So the question
leaders,
is it's not bad enough for me to say, hey, that you shouldn't do that.
Well, what
It's
about
some murky area that I just don't know, and so.
we know how terrible the regime there is, though, right? And
I guess I don't know. I mean, are they?
Steve, can you pull up some stats?
Well, we don't need.
I want to
stats.
see. I want to see. Why not?
Because I don't. Because is that the current regime? And if we're not going to analyze those stats, if we're just going to take some out of context stats, suffice it to say, yeah, it's a repressive regime. So is China, and people work there. And whether they work for the government of China, I don't know. But
okay. And
know.
what about, like, going to perform for, like, the leaders of Hamas in a tunnel?
Well, I would object to that.
Yeah.
I would object to that. But I'm sure a lot of people, a lot of our colleagues, many of whom have gone nuts, would be in favor of that.
Right.
So anyway, that's my hedged opinion on the Riyadh Comedy Festival. I'm sorry I couldn't take a more. I can only tell you what my gut reaction was when I first heard about it. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Like, not outrage. It was only after Mark Maron in particular and David Cross said, hey, you shouldn't do that I started to think, well, all right, let me think about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I hadn't even thought about it.
And were they?
I wasn't giving it a second thought.
Were David Cross and Maron?
They were both very against it.
I know, but were they invited and they turned it down?
I don't know that. I don't know if they were. But my guess is they weren't. It's hard to believe that the South. Well, maybe Maron. I don't know. But I mean, I would think that they would know that those aren't the people to ask. But but maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know.
We have there's a journalist who wrote a interesting piece about this for The Atlantic.
And what did that journalist? Well, who was the journalist?
Her name is Helen Lewis, I believe. She might be joining us on the show in a couple of weeks to discuss it.
Oh, okay.
So we'll get to talk about it more with her. Are you getting a phone?
No, I just have a time. I have to keep track of time. I can't do it because we usually have a clock.
You're right. We do.
I don't see the clock. So what did she say about it?
Well, we'll talk. Well,
about give me the summary.
That. God,
well, if you don't have it
handy,
you don't have it handy.
Yeah, I don't have it handy.
All right.
Let's talk. What's your time? Where are you going?
I'm having a belated birthday dinner that friends of mine are taking me to, so I have to leave at 6:10 really at the latest.
Well, you'll be out of here well before then. We'll make sure you're out of here at 6:00.
Okay.
And there's a clock.
It's
5:26.
Oh, the clock.
Where are you going for your?
Where they're cooking me in their apartment. It's a home.
That's
dinner.
very nice.
Yeah. I'll probably bring ice cream. I'm not obligated to because it's my birthday dinner, but
how many people?
It's just them and me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What do you know what they're cooking?
I have no idea.
No idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was my birthday, as you know, last week.
Yeah.
They just keep coming. I mean, they just.
How was it for you?
It was when it gets. It was a fine, but when it gets towards 60, it's going to be 59 and then 60 itself. That's going to be a fucking baseball bat to the fucking back of the head. There's no way around it.
No way around it. You don't think?
There's no way around it.
You don't think that there's?
Yeah, I mean, 50 was like, but I got you. 50 was like you get into like a pool that's like 75 degrees and you're like, hey, and then after a minute you're like, oh, this is okay. So that was 50. 60 might be it's like a 40-degree pool where the whole time you got hypothermia. I don't know. I haven't been there yet. I mean, Noam doesn't love it.
Noam doesn't love anything.
You know, I mean, and I've read numerous articles that say after 60 you're kind of cool with it. You don't fear death anymore as much. Noam has not confirmed that.
Yeah.
He's the only person on the other side of 60 I've talked to about it, and he says that's not true for him. But I have read numerous articles that say for some reason your brain just at 60, roughly 60, 61, just all of a sudden you're like, eh. And of course, you do see older people that it was an episode of Seinfeld where George was saying to this old guy, like, how do you live? How do you live? You're going to die at any time. And the guy's like, oh, I just enjoy every day. And I think that's how people get when they get to that age. I don't know what the brain. But I've long since abandoned the idea that I'm in any control of what my brain does. So if my brain decides that I don't fear death anymore, well, that's what's going to happen.
But that's an insane position to take.
What's insane?
That you have no control.
Well, it might be insane, but it's perfectly true.
It's not true.
I learned that years ago when I was when I barricaded myself in a room after smoking too much pot because I thought the cops were coming.
Okay,
and it was then I knew that
well,
the point is your brain is a chemical soup.
Okay, first of all, getting paranoid because you've smoked too much pot.
That just shows you that you're not in control of your thoughts.
If you've smoked too much, like that's
but what's the difference whether you're smoking or whether you're not smoking? It's the chemicals in your head that decide what you're thinking
because there are things that you can do.
No, you can meditate.
Yes,
but even then,
like there's so much science. You're such a science guy. You're so into all this science. There's so much science behind how meditation changes.
But meditation changes the biology of your brain.
Yeah.
But the point is, like I can stop my heart from beating, but basically my heart is an involuntary muscle.
Your brain is not the same as your heart.
Oh, it certainly is. Like I can make my heart beat. If I exercise, my heart will beat slower because I'm more fit. So yes, in that sense, I can control my heartbeat. Or if I think bad thoughts and scary thoughts and stressful thoughts, my heartbeat can speed up. So yes, in that sense, I can speed up my heartbeat. But essentially, my heart is an involuntary muscle. Well, your brain is the same way.
Okay, but if
you think you're in control, you are in no control.
No. I'm not saying that you're in control. I'm saying that there are things that you can do
there are
to
things
mitigate.
You can do. Yeah, you can
mitigate. Like if you're having.
At the end of the day, it's biology. Yes, but at the end of the day, it's biology.
If you're having a panic attack,
there's certain steps you can take.
And there are certain I just read a whole thing on like
there's certain things, there's certain steps you can take, but generally speaking, your overall mood, your overall way of seeing the world, I think is largely locked in. And so even though I can't imagine not fearing death, if my brain decides one day that I don't fear it, then I won't fear it.
We totally disagree with you.
Well, you can disagree all you want. And the only reason you're disagreeing is because your brain is telling you to disagree. You're locked into disagreeing.
Do you know that Anais Nin quote?
No.
We see the world not as it is, but as we are.
Nin's an idiot.
No, she's not.
I don't know anything about Anais Nin, but
she was. Well, you know that. I mean, I think it's fair to say that, like she's.
I don't believe in free will. Is where I'm going.
At all?
No, not at all.
So
I think it's a ridiculous idea.
Really? Why? Because you have no control.
No, because everything is either it's our environment or our biology, and we don't. I mean, it's like it's wired in. We don't. No, I don't believe in free will. I don't. I try not to think about it. It's a fairly potent illusion that we have it, and I'm satisfied. I think the illusion is satisfactory, and I'm good with the illusion, but I don't truly believe it. I believe we lived the life that we were meant. We could have. If you were born Jeffrey Dahmer, and if you were born with his brain, in his family, you would have been killing and eating men.
Well, how?
If you were born Adolf Hitler, you would have done with his brain in 1889 in Austria. You would have been Adolf Hitler. That's it.
And what about people who change, like significantly?
Well, they can change, but yes, you can change, but that doesn't mean you have free will.
Well, how do you change?
Because how does the tide go in and out? Tide doesn't have free will, but it changes.
No, people who get sober after having been.
Yeah, because they were programmed to decide that they were going to get sober.
Well, how come some people can do it and some
Because
people
some
can't?
people were programmed with the ability, and some people the programming didn't have the ability.
So you're completely at the mercy.
That's right.
It's
That's right.
depressing.
That's why I try not to think about it too often. But I try to say, well, I'm satisfied with the illusion, and I thank my lucky stars that I wasn't born Jeffrey Dahmer, or that I wasn't born any number of people that have done unspeakable things.
We have the choice to make terrible decisions every day, though.
Well, but
and
I don't believe it's
not...
truly a choice.
Well,
So I guess we're agreed to disagree.
it's a good.
Well, what do you think about that, Stephen?
I'm kind of in the middle of both. I think our brains are more like antennas. It's like whatever's coming in is just trying to sort it out.
Yeah, okay.
But I agree. We can't really control what it does. Just like a filter we tweak.
But that's insane. You fight urges all day long.
Yeah, because my programming is to fight those urges.
Yeah, my filter's not good enough. Yeah.
No, I don't think that you're. I actually.
Well, we're not going to obviously see eye to eye on this.
Okay. Would you like to move on to a different topic? And what do the
Unless you have
listeners
an-
think? Why don't you tell us in the comments? Do you agree with me that we make decisions and
We
choices?
do make decisions and we do make choices, but the question is are we programmed to make those decisions and choices? Do we have any other, are there any other choices or decisions we could have made given our experience and our biology?
It sounds almost
Just
religious.
just like
this
a meteor
argument
has
you're
no
making.
free will. A meteor does what it does following the laws of physics. Well, the laws of physics that are dictating all the atoms and molecules in our brain that are moving according to the laws of physics. Our decisions are simply the result of the movement of atoms, molecules, energy, charges.
And what about the
electronic-
relationships that we make?
You're beating the same dead horse.
I mean, I'm trying to revive
So-
the horse.
The horse ain't coming back. It's the same dead horse you're beating. Yes, we make decisions. Yes, we but the question is are we pre-programmed to make the decisions that we're making?
Okay. I don't know.
I do agree that it's sort of depressing, but I'm not happy about it necessarily, but I don't think about it too much.
Okay.
Because I think the illusion of free will is sufficiently potent.
Okay. I'd like to know what our listeners think. Let's move on to
Our listeners think what their biology is telling them to think. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Just pick more or less on at least 2-player start projections. It takes less than 60 seconds to turn your football takes into cash. Want to pick more on a QB's pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns? With Prize Pick Stacks, you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. I enjoy Prize Picks because it gives me a stake in the outcome of the game and makes watching the game all that more fun. Prize Picks even lets you follow other players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. Whether it's a friend, a Prize Picks celebrity partner, or just someone with good picks, hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the all-new Feed tab. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CELLAR, CELLAR, to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CELLAR, CELLAR, to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
We were going to debrief from our last episode.
What was our last episode again?
Well, it was with Michael Oren
Oh, well, no, I don't recall. Did we say we're going to debrief that episode?
or Seth Dillon or none of the above.
Well, look at your notes. But also, we did a show we were going to talk about. You and we did a show, Periel's birthday show.
Yeah, we did Periel's birthday show.
Who was in the audience? Was it all your friends?
No, not all. I mean, there were some of my friends there. There were
Because the whole show was Jews.
like the lineup.
The lineup.
Yeah, the lineup.
And I think when you do a show that's aimed for the public,
Mm-hmm.
in other words, if it was your birthday show and everybody was in the audience were your invitees, then well, do whatever you want.
Well,
But
it
if
is
you're
my-
saying to people, "Hey, come see a show," it's just a comedy show.
Well, first of
and
all,
everybody's
what-
the same. I mean, we're not literally the same because
well, I mean,
not every Jew is the same. But when it's a little,
listen,
diversity.
this is a complaint
might-
that you have on this show also.
Yes, I do.
You're constantly
Well, but
complaining
now
about-
I don't complain as much anymore because now our audience is what it is at this point, and
You always
you
saying
know,
things are too Jewy. Number one, it is my show, right? Like it's my show.
yeah, but you're doing a show for the general public.
Okay, but it's advertised by me.
But they don't know that. They're just saying, "Oh, it's a comedy club. There's a show tonight." Periel, yeah, whatever.
All the comics are listed.
They don't know Matt Friend, and no, these people don't know what a Jew is necessarily.
It does say no anti.
It should say all Jews, all Jew lineup.
It says no anti-Semites. Isn't that enough?
It said that.
I always write that. No smoking, no recording, no
is it
anti-Semites.
in big print or small?
I don't know. It's whatever
I'm just
my
saying, if
biology.
you're doing the show for the general public,
Yeah, well, there were.
be mindful that the general public might have different points of view, different perspectives. They might want to see a black guy on the show.
That's fine. Sometimes there are black guys on the show. But that night it was.
The other show I did for you was the same thing.
Well, that show is. Well, maybe it's very Jewish.
So I'm just saying. I'm saying.
By the way,
I don't think
wanna
I'm
say
at a
that
line to say
the-
be mindful of the audience, and say, well, the people might come. Maybe they liked it. Maybe an Asian woman might be interesting.
There, first of all,
Not diversity for diversity's sake, but diversity because there are different points of view.
Well, I think that I'm going to push back and say that I think that each comic was very different. It was pretty Jewish. I mean, that is a little bit my brand, if we're being honest. And the audience was quite mixed, and they had a blast. You're saying they don't know it's Jewish from the get-go when they're buying tickets. I'm saying I don't think that's true. Because I've been doing that show for a while.
Right.
And most of the people, I think, are finding it through me.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to diversity. In fact,
Okay.
I would argue that I embrace it.
Okay. Well, if in fact that's your brand and people are aware of that, then I guess that's okay.
That doesn't mean that all the comics have to always be Jewish, but I like having a Jewy thing going on. I think that our people need
Well,
it.
anyway, it was a good show. The audience was very good.
Well, so why don't you start with that?
Okay, I should have. Well, whatever. I got to it eventually.
It was really fun.
It was a good show. Yeah.
And we had my dad's oldest friend,
Yeah.
Stu Siegel,
Stu Siegel.
who got on stage for the first time in his life. He's probably in his late 70s.
Mm-hmm. He looks good.
He looks great.
Yeah.
He was my dad's paddleball partner for 40 years.
Paddleball. That was before pickleball. You had paddleball.
Yeah. They played.
It was similar to pickleball.
It's
if I
tougher.
remember.
It's tougher than, it's like a tough kind of like New York-y.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I remember I played it like once or twice with my father years ago.
Yeah.
You play it, it's like pickleball kind of, but you play it in like a cage, so the ball can like bounce off the side of the.
Well, there's a
It's
wall.
it's like a mesh wall.
Or it's outside. They used to play
Yeah,
out.
but I remember it was a mesh wall, and you could hit the ball like into the mesh wall. I remember.
No.
Or maybe that's just because I couldn't hit straight.
No, it's not a mesh wall. It's a concrete wall.
But you could hit the wall, right? It was like, in that sense,
I
it was
don't know
like.
what the rules of paddleball are now. This is really.
It's like handball with paddles.
That's right.
There you go.
It was like it looked like a tennis court, but it was smaller, and I believe you could hit it off the wall.
It's like here on West Fourth with the wall. You hit it against.
It's
the
not
concrete
over a
wall.
net.
It was over net when I did it.
No, it was
yes,
not.
it was.
No net.
No,
No net.
there's no net.
Well, I played it with a net. Maybe it's a
You
different
were playing
game.
tennis, maybe.
No, I was playing paddleball
That's not
at the
paddle.
Italian Center in Stamford, Connecticut.
There's no
Well,
net.
because we didn't belong to the Jewish Center because they didn't have tennis. So my father said, "Fuck these Jews," and we went to the Italian Center.
There's no net.
There was a net when we played it at the Italian.
Then it wasn't paddleball. Anyway, so Stu always tells these like old talk about Jewish jokes. These Jewish jokes my whole life.
They weren't all. They were Jewish style.
They were very Jewish style. You're fine. It's 5:40.
Okay.
I promise I will tell you.
All right, because I also have to have time to buy ice cream. I can't show up empty. I mean, yeah, granted, it's my birthday dinner, but can't show up to a guy's house empty-handed.
You should buy
I
it.
got to get some Haagen-Dazs.
Yeah, just don't buy Ben and Jerry's.
I don't buy Ben and Jerry's.
We could talk about that actually next. Okay, so Stu Siegel, I had a birthday party for my mom a few months ago, and Stu came and he was telling jokes the entire time, and my favorite joke that he told that night. Did you hear any of it?
I heard the whole thing.
About the Great Dane?
Yes, the one with the Great Dane. the wife said, went to the
No,
vet.
no. A woman goes to the vet.
Yeah, a woman goes to the vet and says, my Great Dane mounted me.
You're never going to believe this. It's like the guy said, why are you here?
I'm telling the joke.
No,
Why are
but
interrupting?
you're not. Tell the whole joke. Go ahead.
I'm telling the essence of the joke.
Okay.
The woman takes her Great Dane to the vet, says that, yeah, I came out of the shower and the dog mounted me. And the vet said, oh, you wanted me to put him to sleep? And the woman says, no, I want you to trim his nails. So anyway, those were the jokes that he was telling. But these were jokes that, people tell like on the street. They're not. But you have to ask yourself, it's a question I've wondered for years, who wrote those jokes?
I know.
Because they're great jokes.
It's a great joke.
And somebody wrote them. They didn't just appear out of nowhere. It seems almost that they appear out of nowhere.
It's an amazing.
But somebody wrote them, I assume.
Yeah.
But why isn't this person taking credit for it?
First of all,
Where is this person saying, yeah, I wrote that joke? All these jokes that people tell each other.
it's amazing.
Who wrote? Somebody must have written them somewhere.
There's also that joke that Stu didn't tell that Gilbert Gottfried used to tell all the time.
Which one is that?
When the mother takes the baby to the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
So,
The baby to the ocean, and the baby, a wave takes the baby out to sea, and the mother prays, please, God, bring my baby back, and the baby, and the wave then deposits the baby back on shore, and the mother looks at God and says, he had a hat. So,
who wrote that joke?
I don't know who wrote that joke.
I don't know.
And these jokes, because these jokes are very, very good. And, we have all these comedians out there. It's very depressing in a way because Stu's up there. He's killing. Stu's killing. And I'm like, well, why am I writing material? I mean, if this works just as well,
why am I killing myself?
Why am I trying to write? Why is every comedian out there? I mean, trying to write these jokes. I mean, and then
nobody in the audience gives a shit.
And
that
they
he
don't
didn't
give a
write
shit.
them.
They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit.
They were dying.
They know good and well that he didn't write those jokes.
They don't care.
They don't care. Yeah.
They're not like, oh, that's so unique.
So you say, what the hell's the point of it? But, I mean, I'm not an audience member, and I haven't been an audience member for a long time. I suppose. Well, the question is there an enjoyment of comedy that goes beyond just the laughs? If we were to measure laughs, and we'd say, well, Stu got just as many laughs as I did, say, for example, theoretically. I don't know if he did, but is there a level of enjoyment that goes beyond just the volume of laughter? Do you enjoy a show on another level? Do you enjoy hearing about the comic's life that provides? And with some comics, it's obvious that people do. Comics that have that kind of storytelling style, you're enjoying the jokes, but you're also enjoying a story about the comic's life and about his trials, and you might be enjoying the comic's political point of view if a comic is political.
What would Noam say to that, do you think?
I think Noam would say that, yes, you can enjoy a show on a different level, but ultimately the volume of laughter is the most important. I mean, that's, I think, how they booked The Room.
That's what I'm saying.
So because that's the thing that's the most objective.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to measure, did the audience, But like when Dave Chappelle is on stage, and he'll go on for an hour or two, and, there'll be stretches of, 5 minutes, 10, where there's no laugh.
That's different.
But the audience is engaged.
Right. So what I'm going to say is
and he can do it because he's Dave Chappelle.
Right. But what I'm going to say is, and I think that I'm agreeing with your supposition, is that if I were telling those jokes that Stu told, they wouldn't be as funny. Because part of what makes them funny is that it's Stu, that he is an older Jewish guy that has sort of
telling dirty shit.
Yeah, and he's sort of leaned into this character, right? And also,
it wasn't really a character. It's just an old guy telling dirty jokes, which is going to be funny on that level as well.
So that's the character, though.
Well, it's a sort of a character, I guess.
Like if
I don't know if it's a character. It's just, well, whatever it is, it
although I'm
it
thinking
works
now, if
on
you
that
were-
level.
If you were telling those jokes,
I'm
they'd
sure
be
it would.
funny
Yeah,
too.
I'm sure it would get good laughs. But maybe somebody who's older, who's a senior citizen, and I'm not a senior citizen yet. Yeah, you get a little extra oomph.
Yeah,
You know, because for some reason we have this perception of older people as not being dirty, but
yeah.
I don't know why that would be, and because these people, I mean, these people, their lives were a lot more sort of dangerous. I mean, they fought Hitler. These people.
Well, I'm not sure Stu Siegel fought Hitler.
I don't know if he fought Hitler. He's probably too young. I mean, because World War I. But the point is older people have lived lives. They've lived lives. I mean, they've done things. Why would they? Why? But for some reason, we associate older with not being dirty. I mean, these people had sex long before we even knew what sex was.
Right.
All
right.
But yeah, Stu. I don't think Stu fought Hitler because he's too young.
He's too young.
See,
He had the night of his life.
I'm
But
glad. Good.
He had so much fun. He sent me a really sweet message.
Maybe Stu. What was Stu? What was his profession?
He worked at Tiffany for many, many years.
You mean Tiffany, like the jeweler?
Yeah.
Was he engraving?
Was he in
I
engraving?
don't know.
I don't think
Anyway,
so.
whatever. I don't know why I asked that question. I knew somebody that was an engraver at Tiffany's, but
Well, maybe they know each other.
could be. Well, she died.
Great.
But in any case, Stu lives on,
Yeah.
going strong.
And he said that he might have caught the bug. I mean,
Okay.
imagine
I mean,
that.
you might have to break it to Stu gently that you really have to write your own jokes. I mean, it was funny, but
No, it could become a shtick that, like, that's what.
Yeah,
Maybe you don't have to write your own jokes, as it turns out.
well, the conventional wisdom is you do. But maybe the conventional wisdom is wrong.
Well, conventional wisdom also dictates that you
But you
don't
would say-
suddenly become a stand-up comedian at 80 years
Right.
old.
Well, you might say to Stu, look, Stu, you killed. No question about it. You killed. But if you want the respect of other comedians and maybe and to get booked places, you got to write your own shit. Because I don't think a club would book somebody that just did that. And even if they did, if he wants the respect of his colleagues.
Well, what if you don't want?
But maybe you say, fuck my colleagues. I don't want to.
Stu's going to
I'm
be
just-
like headlining Madison Square Garden in a
know.
year.
Well, wasn't there that thing, old Jews telling jokes or something? It was
probably.
something, a big internet thing. I don't
That's funny.
know. Well, maybe he'll play the garden. I mean, look, comics, we're all writing our own jokes, so I guess there's a market for. I assume that people, if you did that, would the audience feel gypped? I mean, do they? I don't know.
I think if you tell people what you're listening to, then they don't feel chipped because
I think at the cellar, if a comic went up and just, I don't know how they would react.
and even if they said what with the correct introduction and accurate introduction.
Well, with it, here's a new guy, like his dream was always to do stand up, and then they would. But if it was like a regular person on the lineup, I don't know. I don't know.
No, I think that's.
I'm not
for
sure how it would
true.
go
I
over.
agree with you. No, of course,
sure if it
it's
would
like
go over or not, I
the
don't
number
know.
one rule that you have to write your own.
Yeah.
material.
But again, maybe that number one rule, maybe it's wrong. I don't know.
and don't
I
perform
mean,
in
because
Riyadh.
Gilbert also used to do, dirty old jokes.
Yeah.
But he was Gilbert, and I think a lot of people just enjoyed the fact that they were seeing a celebrity.
And
he had that, he talked like this, so he added that to it. But
that was so good. Do that again.
Gilbert, I don't, it's not very good.
You say that, and then you do like an amazing impression.
Florence Henderson. I saw Florence Henderson doing a squid. Anyway,
That was perfect.
I do better Gilbert, like offstage Gilbert, like, oh, I don't know. Just quiet Gilbert. Oh,
It's really good.
I'm not sure. Gilbert, but Gilbert. I once told Gilbert that him and Adolf Hitler had one thing in common: is very few people ever heard them not screaming.
Did you see Dara? Dara is.
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay. What else?
Well, what's on your list?
Well, I have a lot of things on my list, but now you're making me nervous because it's 5:50, and I feel
Oh,
like we had
yeah.
a really good
Well,
show.
Well,
and-
let's do another thing on the list.
Okay. You want me to read you on the list? I have anti-Semitic comments,
Well, what else you got?
trans girls.
Well, oh yeah. Why we like? There's not. Is that because we always talk about trans girls, and so we just?
We were going to talk about why that always comes up.
Well, it's an interesting topic.
Well, there are lots of interesting topics.
I know, but that one's particularly interesting, and
why is it particularly?
I find it particularly interesting. You know.
Okay, well, that's why it's on the list.
Well. I mean, one thing we were talking about with what's his name,
Seth
Dillon, is he said these people are mentally ill because they're men who think they're women, and my honest, I'm not just saying this to be politically correct. One could make that. I can't say he's wrong, but I view it that they're more physically ill. That they're women psychologically, but men biologically. In other words, to me, women has two components to it: a physical and a psychological. I think there's such a thing as a woman's brain. Now, feminists might take issue with that, but I think they do have a woman's brain. I think that they are women psychologically, but they're men biologically. So who's to say, you know, people say, well, they're men because they're biologically men, but I could say, well, they're women because they're psychologically women. And who's right? And the answer is nobody. I don't think anybody's right. I think it's just how we choose to define a woman. And that's it.
I think that Seth Dillon has never been to Thailand.
Well, I don't know that he has. Why?
Well, it's just
Because they're very convincing.
Because
trans
there's
people
a
there?
whole world of women of trans girls in
but
Thailand.
I don't know that would change his mind on the issue.
Well, I was making a joke,
But anyway,
but to your yes, but I think that
but I don't think I don't think it's wrong to say they're men, and I don't think it's wrong to say they're women.
well, I think of course it's wrong to say they're men.
Well, how do you define a man, and who's in charge
they're
of
trans women? That's what they are.
Yes, they're
like,
trans women.
and
But
if
if
they
you want to define men as anybody that's biologically a man, then I can't say you're wrong because I'm not in charge of the English language.
who's in charge of the English
Well,
language?
Basically, speakers of a given language dictate ultimately how words are defined. You know, words are defined by how people use those words and some words different people define differently. So you know, but it's not up to me to say here's what the word means and this is, you know, I don't have that authority. You know, I think it's polite to call them women just out of politeness because you don't want to insult them and they feel very and I believe that in their core, yes, I mean,
Yeah, of course.
You
Why-
know,
I
that
mean,
they-
who's
that
saying
they-
that if
but-
it's not true? Like, who's saying that if
but
they don't actually
if
feel
somebody
that way?
defines a woman along biological lines, I can't say they're wrong. How can I say they're wrong? If I'm not in charge of how words get defined.
It's not that.
I might say they're rude if they do it in front of a person who's sitting right there
Well, of
and are
course that's
nasty about
rude.
it.
Yeah, well, that's a whole.
But that's a whole
thing.
different argument.
That's a whole different.
I'm
thing.
about, you know, so I think it's as Noam has said, it's a problem with an imperfect solution. You know, you have these people that, yes, they want to participate in women's sports, and should they? I don't know.
Well, that's a whole different
You know.
conversation.
It's tragic if they can't participate in sports because they have a biological advantage, so they can't participate in women's sports, but participating in men's sports would be problematic too. That would be tragic. So there's no easy solution necessarily. I mean, to me, I would say let them compete in women's sports, but I'm not a sports person. I don't give a shit. But for people that it's a big deal whether they get that scholarship, it means something. And if they're competing against someone that has a biological advantage, I can't dismiss their complaint. I don't give a shit, but but if the sports is a big thing in their lives, and there's a scholarship riding on it, or there's a title, or something that means a lot to them, never meant anything to me, but if it means a lot to them,
Right.
and they have to compete against a biological male, I can't dismiss their concerns.
Yeah, that's a complicated issue. I don't have a great solution.
I mean,
to
I could have
that.
played with the women, you know, in terms of my ability.
I'm
But,
sure they would have been happy to
Would've
have
gotten an
you.
ass whooping.
What sport was your other than fake?
Well, I thought
tennis?
I played tennis as a kid, and I wanted to play hockey because all the kids at my school were like, not all the kids, but there was a group of kids that were into hockey. So I said, "Oh, I want to play hockey." My father said, "You're not going to play hockey. First of all, I'm not waking up at 5 a.m. to take you to the rink, and you're too small. you play tennis.
How old were you when he said that?
I think I was middle school, so 11.
Okay.
No, younger.
Did that crush your spirit?
Younger, like 5.
Five.
Like 5, 5th grade. I mean, 5th grade.
But did that crush your spirit?
No, I was like, oh, tennis is cool.
Okay.
You know, and honestly, it would, because for some reason the rink, you had to get up at like 5 in the morning because the rink was being used all day. So the kids that played hockey had to get up at like, their parents had to drive them to the rink at like 5 a.m. And I kind of understood, I kind of got it. I'm like, yeah, you know, I probably shouldn't make the guy get up at 5 in the morning to take me to the rink. That's probably a reasonable objection.
For
And
sure.
and I wasn't married to hockey. I just thought it'd be cool, but tennis was fine. So I played tennis, but I stunk at it.
Didn't I buy a picture of you?
Oh, that playing ping pong.
Oh, that was
Yeah,
ping pong.
yeah.
I have to find that.
And I'm good at tennis if you've never played tennis. But because I took lessons and so I had the right, you know, the form and I knew how to, you know, kind of how to do it, but I had no natural gifts for it whatsoever. Moreover, tennis requires a lot of mental strength. I didn't have that either.
Oh God,
If
Dan.
I would be down a few points, I would just say, fuck it, I don't. Because you really have to, in tennis, if you're down a few points, you can't just give up. You have to be tough, and the opposite is true. If you're up a few points, you can't give in. You have to maintain the pressure. So on both ends.
Why is that the case? Because there aren't that many points?
Well, I think that's true with any game, but in tennis in particular, it's because the way it's scored is kind of weird. Like if if you're down 3 points, if you lose the next point, you lose the whole game. So if you fight your way back and you still lose the game, you get no credit for the points you got. You're still lost. It's kind of a mind fuck.
What about
It's like
chess?
the SATs when they said, okay, I don't know if they still do this, but they said, okay, one of the sections of the SATs isn't going to count, but we're not going to tell you which one.
Right.
And it's a real mind fuck. And I don't think they should do that. And I don't know if they still do that.
I didn't know that.
Well, maybe it wasn't the case when you took because they're testing out new questions. So one of the sections didn't count, but they didn't tell you which one.
That's insane.
So
What
you
if-
didn't you're doing it and you're working and you're like, but this might not count. I mean, it's just a mind fuck.
How did you do on your SATs?
I did all right.
What about chess?
I don't play chess.
That seems like a game that's right up your alley.
I guess, but it never
Resonated?
never resonated. No,
You'd probably be good at chess.
maybe never. I never really learned. I think my father taught me how to play it, but
What about Clue?
is that? Well, I don't know. I guess I've played Clue.
Well, it sounds like you weren't like a big board game family.
Well, no, not really.
Mhm.
No, not really. I mean, my neck literally makes noise when I move it. It like crunches.
Maybe you should get some acupuncture.
It doesn't hurt. It just makes noise. Like if I'm checking for my blind spot, the whole car knows.
All right. What else? Do you have anything
Well,
else you'd like to say to wrap up because you need to go get?
Oh, I'm
ice cream?
starting. Me and Kyle Dunnigan are starting a science podcast.
Okay.
And we had our first guest, who was an astrophysicist
Okay.
from the Brooklyn Borough of Manhattan Community College. But she went to Johns Hopkins for her
Okay.
PhD.
In
woman-
person? Did she?
In person,
Okay.
yeah. She came to the studio at Kyle's
Okay.
apartment, and we talked about black holes and whether we're ever going to Mars and issues of the like.
And are
Well,
we?
hopefully, not anytime soon.
And what about?
Not
black-
according to her, and not according to everything I've seen online about it.
And was it fascinating?
Just too hard to go to Mars. Yeah, it was very interesting. Anyway, we hope to have it posted soon. I'll keep everybody posted on it.
Well, you got to hurry up. You can't let these.
Well,
things sit.
look, it's not going to go stale. It's not like we're going to be in Mars next week, and then we're like, oh, that's kind of a dated topic. Black holes. They're still going to be valid in a week's time.
Fair enough.
Hey, so I got to go to my birthday dinner.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for this. This is a change of pace. A little something different. We do it every now and again when Noam's out of town. Podcast at comedycellar.com if you have any suggestions or comments. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.